Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to the Turing Test. So we spent 30 minutes just setting up and going through the introductory cutscene, just to get to this point where we actually are in the game with the little energy gun and the cursor, and we're at the very beginning of the level. It's slow, frankly, a little too slow. I just got scanned, and I see what they're trying to do here, which is to tell you that these scans are not dangerous. These scans are clearly here to probably reset energy in the energy gun so you can't steal energy from one puzzle to cheat the next puzzle, which I suspect there is quite a bit.
The base was originally constructed as modules to withstand the seismic activity in and around Thera Macula. It appears the ground team have manipulated these modules.
So, this gives the impression that Tom doesn't know that the base would have changed, which almost means like he's some kind of AI that only usually focuses on the ship, and he's come along with me in my suit. Here we've got a item we can pick up, which I imagine is just an energy block. You've seen plenty of these in video games, whether it was Echo. I don't know if Echo actually had energy blocks, but I know the QUBE had something like that, and certainly plenty of other games. Now we're seeing also in the top right a indicator of a quick save happening, which games don't seem like they really bother to tell you that games are quick saving anymore. And this seems to be an indicator of how many levels there are, which that's not terrible. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks about 60 puzzles.
The base was built initially by machines. I served as the mind of these operations. I arrived first on Europa in 2240.
What year is it now?
It costs a lot to send humans into space with the necessary life support, especially
Man,
such
it
a
just
vast
seems to get
distance
dark
from Earth.
randomly.
So, robotics built this place.
So here's Tom, or a robot that looks a lot like Tom, and it does seem like if you just look at bright lights, it gets dimmer, which I don't know why the game would work that way. Here we've got a door, and over here we've got a door, and over here we've got this. Now, what's the point of this? Let's just ask this simple question. Why have such gigantic power cells to control a door for really no reason? Why not just have a wooden door here? It's not like it's really securing anything. It's not like these power cells indicate a level of security clearance. If they do, it's a pretty terrible system. Also, we see in the walls over here fans, which assumes that there is some electricity already being run through the walls. So I know we have to have a video game element here, but it really doesn't make sense that this is just power instead of being something else. If I can get the game to stop screwing up. There's something, and we don't have like a zoom button. There's just like a bunch of dots here and a bunch of dots here that look like rivets, but I don't know why you would need such a pattern of rivets. Alright, so this wants me to hit left trigger, which sucks the energy out of the door, and it shows that our cursor is now holding one blue shot, and right trigger picks it up, and that door is locked behind us, so there's nothing to to happen there. This room is clearly a good test, just a natural test. A lot of circles here again. Feels almost like these doors have been hacked, or they have some kind of pressure gauges on them. One of the things Portal did very nicely is cause you to learn as you play, so you didn't ever get into a situation where something was just completely confusing and had no foundation of education here. I imagine if people had lower hard drives, you might end up not being able to just like run from this all the way to this direction. Not that there's a run button so much.
I have a hypothesis. These rooms are Turing tests.
Turing tests?
Turing tests are tests designed to tell humans and machines apart. Typically, problems only solvable by a human. A combination of logical and lateral thinking.
So, you can't complete these tests, Tom?
No. That is why I am glad you are here to help. We need to work together.
So it seems like Tom immediately spills the beans there, that he is at odds for one reason or another with the ground crew. Or more accurately, the ground crew feels like they're at odds with Tom or some other kind of robots. Here's some better writing I would suggest on this. If he is going to spill the beans and say these are Turing tests, and just immediately point out that he knows what a Turing test is, he should have made a false enemy. It would have been easy to say the life form that they found must not think like humans, and thus these rooms were designed to confuse that life form that they found, which he mentioned, which we haven't seen. That would make more sense than kind of just immediately saying that, oh, these are designed to stop me from getting through the rooms, which doesn't make a lot of sense, honestly, because he doesn't seem like he really needs to go through the rooms. He seems like he gets just teleported. At bare minimum, he gets teleported to the closest robot where I am. And here we have a slightly purplish color, and I guess the general idea is that we're supposed to be down here. Is there... there's not glass in between the windows. I mean, you in the first 3 levels have been told basically don't trust the robot, and most sci-fi stories tell you don't trust a robot. So I could have just grabbed it through the window in the alcove. That's a little bit of a problem, I would say, to have glass up here and then not make it quite so obvious that there isn't glass here. So let's run and see how fast we can go. Yeah, my SSD is not going to have any problems allowing us to run through
They really
this.
have completely repurposed these rooms. I am quite impressed.
So, what were they used for before?
Most of them were used for storage, but they have converted them beyond recognition. Perhaps they ran out of things to do out here. The devil makes work for idle hands.
Yeah, this is a weird argument that he's gonna have to try and backtrack on now. Here, fall, no pain. Here we have a trigger that you had to hold X and then swap. And by the looks of it, it's probably not really worth your effort to try and suck the energy out. Like, it feels like you probably get to the corner and use your energy gun at a pretty far distance. But take note that there was no electrocution or resistance or anything for flipping the trigger with it being powered. I don't know why they wouldn't have, if they were just trying to stop Tom and the computer, though, why they wouldn't just also have broken the robot security cameras, taken them down, dismantled them. It seems like he still has plenty of power to observe things. And we're not at any difficult puzzles now. This is pretty obvious and pretty easy to figure out. And they are doing the video game thing where they are trying to light up areas where you might not look, just in case you're going to get a little confused. But these rooms are fairly simplistic
do you know the ground team's
small.
location?
The crew are deeper inside the base, it seems.
They must be trying to survive. Can you find their precise location?
I'm afraid not. I am working to regain control. Though I once had complete control of this base, a lot has changed in the past 500 hours.
500 hours. That's like a week. No, 5 weeks. Yeah. So this all happened in 5 weeks. I do have to really applaud Portal for establishing this new concept of a simplistic and easy, repeatable backgrounds and walled off laboratory worlds. No longer do you have to, apparently you can't long range shoot these guys. No longer do you really have to hassle with the, let's see, if I put that down and shoot that here, then that swaps things around. So there's two types of energy, one caged in a box, one not, and then when you have the long range you can shoot it. Yep. Portal kind of was the first person shooter of a puzzle game,
so
puzzle
if this
platformer.
base is managed by you,
Very little
why can't you find
platforming.
the crew?
The base's communication array is malfunctioning.
You can see some visual glitch happening there that's probably more to do with the game and maybe DirectX 12 than the actual experience. And this is a restricted area, so maybe the restricted areas will give us some bit of information that we can't.
Perhaps we can't solve this yet.
Interesting. Yeah, this seems like this may be a code, or this may just light up with more energy things later. I would have almost assumed for certain that going through this restricted area would have stopped Tom from reaching that area. One of the things I would complain about, the visual glitch is some kind of magnetic field. It's doing some refracting of the image. As much as I like the way Portal introduced a whole new generation of players to the idea of potentially being able to play puzzle games and it not being just a huge hassle, it didn't quite fully end up with a lot of successful instances. Yeah, this doesn't seem like if this is supposed to be magnetic, it doesn't seem like it's working. We have a large amount of... Guess you have to hold X to move this. And boy, does that physics feel wonky. Yeah, I liked QUBE 1 and 2, but they weren't great. They didn't have the budgeting. They didn't have the elements that would have been very helpful and very useful. Seems like I could probably just run through here.
This doesn't add up.
What does not add up?
If there was an accident, surely they'd come to find me, not try to lock me out.
My instance is still resolving conflicts. I expect they have their reasons.
So, if I was to left trigger this right now and then walk back further here, you've already been scanned, so I wonder if there would be a way to lock yourself out of this puzzle if you'd walked only to like one of these places and then scanned this and then walked forward and gotten scanned. Yeah, here's a switch that I don't think powers much. You can get power from over here instead, which then lets me take power and swap things. And put that here. Clearly the ability to shoot through rails now. We've just been taught that we can shoot through rails. The ability to shoot these energy pelts is way more helpful than the power ones. So is there a energy ball I can grab? Not in this one.
My instance has just been updated.
Sorry?
I have two instances of my mind, two separate versions. A slave mind running on the satellite, and a master running here on the surface. When the communication was cut between the surface base and the satellite, the two instances of my mind were separated. So, during all this time, all of my knowledge divided into two separate branches. I continue to learn on the satellite, and I continue to learn on the surface. I am trying to merge the knowledge to create a timeline of what's happened here.
Interesting.
There are incongruities between these memories, conflicts.
That doesn't really change much, though. Like, if there's an idea that there's a good Tom and there's a bad Tom, because there's two instances, alright, that's different, but in the end, the good Tom is still just a kind of useless computer program, and they can't really do anything without me. And bad Tom is going to be our enemy. In fact, they're laying it on fairly heavy to the point where it feels like there might be a twist that there is actually no bad Tom and there's just two good Toms, and that the problem, the people just went crazy. They ran into some kind of like biological entity and potentially decided that they needed to lock themselves in because they're trying to quarantine themselves or something along that line. Here's a puzzle that is teaching you about how to get up places and that you have to control where you stand. Unlike Portal, where you would have had a puzzle that would have had you open one portal and another to fling yourself forward. A lot of the action in Portal 1 around doing the flinging was a very nice twist to the game and added a lot more platforming to the element, where here we can jump. I'm not sure we're really going to have to jump much. Apparently we're going to a planetarium, so we've taken our gun down for a
This is the
cutscene.
command center. You can check on the crew status from here.
So is this going to be like a hub area? And this is, what was the company? Ashiyama Industries. I thought the company was called something else, like VSA. ISA, yeah. Which feels like that would stand for something like International Space Agencies. I can't really zoom in too much, but it does seem like what we've got here is a long list of something, whether these are supposed to be puzzles or whether these are supposed to be shipments, and then after a certain point it's just canceled, and at this point it gets really blurry, and I think that's probably to trick you. There's probably something on the screen that either Tom doesn't want you to see or the game creators don't want you to see. If we think about the things we can pick up, they're mostly computers and boxes. Let's see. And that loaded fine, and that loaded fine, and that loaded fine. Could be that the DirectX 12 version just literally doesn't have the texture loaded in, because now that loads in fine. It's all just so small you couldn't really read it. And then over here, when the hand goes in front of that texture, look at what that looks like. That is terrible rendering. And they've just lost signal. And then there's a microscope, which is kind of a low-tech microscope considering this is supposed to be in the future. You'd think all microscopes at that point would be hooked up to computers. Most of them are even now. So before we touch here, or touch here, or touch here, let's see what else we've got to look at. We've got a section this way. We have some kind of shortwave radio looking device. We have some kind of microphone looking device. We have lost signal. We have this guy who's got some classified information as the captain. And let's see, some more people. I kind of think these might be the creators of the game, just putting themselves in the game, which is fine. Although, if you look at Ava Turing, the character we're playing as, looks very fake as far as an image of a person. And all these pictures kind of look face. I guess Chris and Daniel McLean are either twins or clones. Let's see, what's his date of birth? 2204 September 9th. 2204 September 9th. So they are like identical twins. He has current objective is terminated. Outstanding tasks are terminated. So this is the guy that died, I believe. His outstanding tasks is keeping calm. Let's see. Ava Turing has the nationality of American. Dr. Sochi Yu is Japanese. This guy is Russian, Mikhail Tokovrev. Dr. Sarah Brooke is from Damascus, Syria. And he's Canadian. He's Canadian. None of the flags in the background matched the flag we saw before, which is weird. There's like a manual power box. Interesting. It does seem like there's more content here, but no way to actually read it. Not easily. Like, and the captain's screen just went to noise, which makes me think like more information is missing, because this second screen looks like vital data, and the only one that they are getting any vitals from is me. But there's no way to bring back this screen. And the highlight on what you control is weird, because there's this little white dot in the middle of the screen, and that's your little cursor. All kinds of other bits of information that seems to get changed in groups. I doubt there's really a puzzle here, though. That'd be a little too complicated. Here we've got some more assets that, yeah, they feel like they are just Unreal assets, pre-purchased things to flesh out the game and make it feel more like a game. Because Portal was made by Valve and does using the Half-Life engine, source engine to some extreme, there wasn't a lot of pre-purchased art, and that helped a more consistent. It helped the game have a more consistent artistic feeling. Here's a map of where we are. I guess we can touch here to find out. Let's see. Well, on a drilling platform, apparently. Or we entered some connector at this point from the landing bay to a drilling platform. Or maybe the two are not connected at all. Or in the Europa base modules. Yeah. So there's basically 3 locations of interest: the drilling platform, the base modules that we're in, and the landing bay that we landed in. And I guess we're, for the most part, going to ignore the ship in orbit. It's kind of confusing to have 2 names. Ashiyama, does that spell anything else? I mean, Yamaha, maybe. But I don't think that would spin around into an anagram of something else. And Ashiyama doesn't strike me as a specifically unique Japanese word I should recognize. Let's see what this does. Did that do anything? Seems like it moved the map. Yeah, here we go. Europa. And if we get really close to it, we can read this. Europa's surface is constantly facing Jupiter as it rotates because it's tightly locked to it, though it has now been discovered that the rocker interior rotates separately underneath the ice and water layers. Okay, well, we kind of know where we are in the solar system now. Europa being one of Jupiter's moons. So, even though this is set in the far distant future, it's not very far from Earth. So finding a life form in the same solar system as Earth would be bigger news than, say, finding a life form hundreds of light years away from Earth. The Fortuna, it has it's in low orbit around Europa. It can house a crew of 12. It serves as a communication and transport link between Earth and Europa's surface base. Let's see what this button does. That one doesn't do anything. So then that just leaves us with this computer, which looks like we're going to get most of our backstory from this audio log. So we're going to just listen to this, and then that'll be it for this recording.
Tom, start recording.
I am always recording.
Why is the subtitles not
Today
on?
is January.
Let's just double check why all of a sudden subtitles are enabled and yet they are not showing.
Tom, start recording.
I am always recording.
That's weird.
The day is January the 6th. My watch says it's 2:30 on Earth. Here we are, members of the human race, standing on Jupiter's moon Europa. I'm Captain Daniel McLean. I'm joined here by the rest of my team. It is our intention to make this moon our home and investigate life on this planet. Man's curiosity and appetite for discovery will continue to change our world for the better.
Inspiring. And might I add my congratulations to you all.
So, no good reason why the subtitles aren't working here. That seems like the game is just kind of poorly designed and poorly programmed. I think, in a weird way, Square Enix is known for not really supporting and funding projects that they publish. They want to be a publisher in the sense that they want to make money. They don't want to be a publisher in the sense that publishers have to finance most, if not all, of the development of a game, and a game needs to be actually developed. It's completely inexcusable for an assistive technology like subtitles, which I don't need, but I prefer and find helpful, for it to not work sometimes and then work most of the other times. That's unacceptable. It needs to work all the times. Maybe you can make an argument if there was going to be some kind of spoiler that you would put in the subtitles indistinguishable gibberish or something like that, or just put a bunch of asterisks and symbols instead of saying the actual name of something. But that's kind of the only time you would have subtitles not work. Also, each of these audio logs seem to be marked with some kind of code that does not really seem to make any sense. I don't know if it's supposed to be a time code, but it's too long to be a time code. It could be a time and location code, but that too wouldn't probably be very useful for this game. I wouldn't be surprised if these numbers at the top are nothing. If anything, they look like Steam game redemption codes, but they're too long even for that.
Here it is. Beautiful, isn't it? What makes this one more remarkable than the others?
The way it attaches itself to other organisms. Its behavior is very abnormal. It seems to form a symbiotic relationship with most life forms.
How do you mean?
Do you want me to dumb it down?
I know what it means. What does it do?
It attaches itself to almost anything living, but it's not parasitic. It's quite alien. We're trying to figure out what effects it has on life forms.
So they found some substance. It's really annoying here. Like, the music is playing fairly loud, and we're trying to watch this, and the subtitles are not helping.
Mikhail, you seem distant.
Do I?
Yes. What's wrong? What's wrong, Mikhail? Mikhail, what's wrong? Are you listening, Mikhail? Are you able to hear?
That's a little creepy. I don't know why Tom would keep the records of his audio dialogue, though. Like, seems like that's probably going to be incriminating evidence. And it also kind of indicates that there is a subroutine that Tom doesn't control that just records all audio logs.
I was talking to the ISA. They don't know what to do with this. The magnitude of the discovery.
We should send samples back to Earth. We need to get this to a better lab. Me and Sochi are having trouble making enough clones. We're going to run out of the necessary resources to continue studying Organism 119.
They're calling for a grounding of all Europa transport until they get your report.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's rather drastic.
So we did hear the word clones amongst the loud music. But yeah, didn't get a lot of information out of that. And you can't go back this way. So that area before where we saw the thing we couldn't open, that obviously is not a place we can go and go back to, that restricted area. So we'll have to potentially run through this area further. Feels like you should be able to hit the back button and see a very basic map. Although, since this game is saying that they reconfigured the interior of the base, that a basic map probably wouldn't help you too much, and probably isn't that useful. It would be nice if there was something here in the settings. You might need to turn the music down. If there was something here to go back and look at audio logs and get a text version of that, just to refer to notes. If the story gets more complicated, that might be something that would have been beneficial. Overall, we are an hour into the game. We've done some basic puzzles. I'm hoping the puzzles get more complicated, but not insanely complicated. And we've gotten some basic backstory, and they've definitely laid down the foundation that we should not trust Tom. So, if there's going to be a compelling tale to tell here, they need to probably just come out and say that Tom's the bad guy, and then have some kind of redemption arc quickly happen where Tom stops being the bad guy so that you trust him again. Writing it generally, I'd say Tom should probably just confess that his other instance on the base versus the instance in the spaceship went crazy and tried to kill the people, and the Tom that's talking to you now from the spaceship is good, and he has purged the other instance. And then you could have maybe a reveal later on that he didn't purge the instance, and there weren't two instances in the first place. They do something like that so that we have at least some small reason to suspect the humans. It's just going to be a basic instinct as a human playing a video game to trust humans more than a artificial intelligence. So we need to see more things weird or iffy being done by the humans. They need to play up the idea that they might be infected by some alien life form. They might be acting crazy. They might have real reason to not be believed. Right now, I am so far into the corner of believing that the humans are the good guys and Tom is the bad guy. It doesn't make for much tension in the story, and it kind of makes it almost like a bad walking simulator game with some puzzles added in, because if you know how the story is going to go from the beginning, it's not going to be very intriguing. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.